You could argue that BMW's S1000XR was already bonkers enough. They didn't have to replace the S with an M, and they certainly didn't have to stick a 201 brake horsepower engine in it. However, here we are. So, is this bike completely unnecessary and redundant on UK roads? Well, I'm going to ride it today and see if I think that's the case. Alright, stick around, I'll play the intro and I'll catch you after it. Right, before we start, I just want to say a massive thank you to Halliwell Jones Motorrad in Chester. They trust me with the latest and greatest BMW motorcycles, and today they've lent me the M1000XR. They're trusting me with 201 brake horsepower at my right hand. I'll fill them. Anyway, yeah, if you're in the market for a BMW, new or used, cash or finance, check them out and they will certainly look after you. Right, without further ado, let's take a look at this bike and ride it and see what we think. Right everybody, here we have the M1000XR by BMW. This is the third M bike to grace BMW's range. The price of this bad boy starts from £22,770 if you go for the white version, which is what you see before you. So the standard specification on this bike, we have a high windshield, we have ABS Pro, dynamic traction control, hill hold control, we have the Gear Shift Assist Pro, LED lights all round including Headlight Pro, which gives you cornering lights. We have heated grips, cruise control, an Acra end can as standard, an M front brake, and M lightweight forged wheels. Moving over to the engine, we have the inline-4 shift cam BMW engine that is found in the S1000RR. It has 201 brake horsepower at 12,750 RPM and boasts 113 Newton meters of torque. If we look at the suspension, we have upside down 45mm electronic telescopic forks. With the rear suspension, we have the dynamic damping control as well, so you can adjust the preload, rebound, compression all electronically. And just to make things easier, we do have a little hand adjuster as well for the preload in case you want to take a pillion. If we look at the brakes, we have twin 320mm discs, and on those discs are 4-piston fixed calipers. Then if we look at the rear, we do have a single 220mm disc with a 1-piston floating caliper attached, which is blue and fancy. Guys and girls, if you watch the channel, you will know that I am a 5'4" individual, that's 162 centimetres, with a 29-inch inside leg measurement, which is, I want to say, 73.66 centimetres in length. Now this bike is a tall boy, oh my days. It has a seat height of 850mm, which is the same as my GS, but when I sit on this bike, let me tell you, it is tall. So let's have a look. This is what it's like straight off the bat, and then if I lift it up, if I want to put my foot on the floor, it's quite a drop, let me tell you. If I want a complete flat foot, my bum is off this bike. It's fully off it, and I have a leg that dangles like this. It's just crazy tall. So this is me right now with a foot completely flat on the other side, and it just dangles. Now if you want to make this bike lower, there is a low seat which takes it to 820mm, and then there is a higher seat which takes it to 870mm. But yeah, this is quite a tall bike because the suspension is so stiff. It literally just does nothing. It does not sag in the slightest. It's just set so firm right now. So yeah, if you are of a short disposition and you weren't blessed with the best genes, then yeah, this bike is going to be quite tall. But once you move in, I find it's fine. But yeah, this has been one of the bikes that I've ridden where I'm a bit like, have to prepare when I'm coming to a stop, put it that way. The bike also has a wet weight of 223 kilograms as well. So for an M bike, it's not the lightest thing on the earth, but it does wear its weight quite well when you're moving. Right guys, I'm on something special today. We got a special bike, we got special views, but today I am on Halliwell Jones's M1000 XR. Derbyshire. Oh wow. Oh, this road is special. I mean, it's a bit bumpy, but I mean, we've got some decent suspension equipped on this bad boy. Sheesh. Oh, would you look at this? So, we're on the M1000 XR, and this bike, I scratch my head as to what's the point of it, but at the same time, if you get to ride it, you don't really care what the point of it is, because it's rapid, it's unreal. Oh, like, this hasn't even been running yet. So with BMWs, with this engine, for the first service you are restricted to 8,000 RPM. The bike will not let you wind that throttle on and get a bit juicy with it. But we're in a 30 now, so we're going to behave and respect the village. But wow, just look at all this. This is a sight to behold. And I know it's a bike review, but yeah, that's special. Anyway, back to it. So yeah, BMW's third M bike. We started with the M1000 RR, then it went to the M1000R, and the natural progression was for the S1000 XR to get the M treatment, and this is how we've ended up here. It shares the same engine as the S1000 RR. For something that's not an incredibly torquey bike, it still absolutely shifts off the line. Oh, it's an absolute beast, to be quite honest with you. This thing is absolutely loaded with technology. So we have that lovely, beautiful 6.5 inch TFT dash with the M screen on startup. If you guys are new to my channel, I always harp on about how incredible BMW's 6.5 inch TFT dash is. I absolutely love it. I think it's one of the best dashes that any manufacturer has out at the minute. And the A6 to Buxton, because we don't know where we're going, but we really do not mind. So yeah, with the BMW we have everything like the ABS Pro, we have the BMW traction control. With this bike we have the DDC, the dynamic damping control. We've got 7 rider modes. So we've got rain, road, dynamic, race, and then we've got Race Pro 1, 2 and 3. You could set this bike up for a wet day at Cadwell or a dry day at Cadwell, and you can give yourself different levels of wheelie control, different levels of traction control, different levels of engine braking control, all that jazz, and it's actually very, very simple to use. Oh my god! This is one of those bikes where you wind it on and you have to hold on, because if you don't hold on, the bike's going to go and you're going to get left behind in the dust. The M1000 XR starts at £22,770. Now if you want to put the competition pack on it, which is just the black colour scheme, it's absolutely laced with carbon fibre, and it's also got those really expensive, really tarty milled billeted bits and bobs on it, then for the privilege of having that bike you're going to pay an extra £5,100. wild, I know, like absolutely crazy. But that's the cost of tartiness, so if you want to be a tart, you're going to pay the price. But with that, you do get carbon wheels, whereas with this, you get forged wheels as standard, unless you spec this bad boy up with carbon rims, like Halliwell Jones have done with this. So I went on the configurator and I spec'd up this M1000 XR to the hilt, and the most expensive I could physically make it was £28,300, which is pretty pricey. So when I first sat on this bike, I have to be honest, I haven't really watched any reviews on this bike already. I do try not to do that because I like to record like my genuine feelings of a bike without really being influenced too heavily by what other people say. Sometimes I find myself watching them afterwards like, oh, that's a good point, I didn't think of that. But it's just, I just prefer to do my own thing. So I think we're heading to a place called Dove Holes. Well, this is Dove. Let's get right down, there we go. So this is a place called Dove that we're in now, and I'm sure there's a place called Dove Holes, but in one of my YouTube videos I passed a sign where somebody'd like manipulated the D to an L. So my dumbass is like, no way did they call a place Love Holes. And then I committed to the cause, and people are like, oh, where did you go in that video? I was at Love Holes. And they're like, sorry? And then I realised I got played by some probably 10-year-old graffiti artist, but it is what it is. Yeah, look, Dove Holes, but somebody took a big proportion of the D out, so it looked like Love Holes. Oh god, how embarrassing. So yeah, what do I want to say about this bike? I'm going to hit you guys with my pros first. So a big pro of this bike is how effortless a ride it is. Honestly, when you hear 201 brake horsepower, you know, you can often think, good lord, that's a lot of power in my right hand. I don't think that's for me. I don't think I'm well equipped enough in the cognitive department to handle that level of power. But do you know what? Even if you're not riding it flat out all the time, which you can't on our roads anyway, it's still just such an effortless ride, and it's not unmanageable, it's not unruly, it's silky smooth. You can feel the electronics, you can feel BMW's kind of clinical nature with this bike, and I know that that's not to everyone's taste. There are a lot of people that don't like that about BMWs. They like, you know, something to feel really characterful, but it does make it really, really easy to ride, which in itself is not a fatiguing trait to have as a bike, to be easy to ride and to be manageable. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? When this is unrestricted, because I've ridden the M1000R, which was unrestricted. Oh, look at the view, so distracted. If you ride this like hard, oh man, it'll blow your knickers off, or your underpants, or whatever you want. It might not blow anything off, you might prefer to go commando. But yeah, it's rapid, it's wildly rapid. Cruising through the towns, honestly, it is absolutely, it's just so easy. I'm just waiting pegs, I'm just swishing my hips, and it's just flicking around like a flickety thing, and I love it. But no, the handling on this thing is phenomenal. We've got 17-inch front as well, which it looks a little funky because it's really long-legged and it's designed as like a mile munching crossover bike, you know, kind of like a sports toury type vibe, but it's got a small 17-inch on the front, and I think that's quite visually funny. The brakes on this thing work incredible. We've got amazing hardware on it. Got a bend that goes on and on and on. Don't fall in the river, Kate. That would not be good. Oh, but it floors around these so nice. Oh, I love these bar end mirrors. The screen is small but also very easy to operate. You've got a little handle so you can just put it down if you wish. KTM. Oh, it is mega fun. It's so much fun and it is proper easy to ride, and I absolutely love that about this bike. Another thing that I like about the M1000 XR, and actually just visually looking at the 2024 S1000 XRs, they have addressed the seat. Now, when I was selling BMWs a few years ago, I often had the chance of taking the S1000 XR home as a demo bike, and I would never take it up. I mean, obviously I did commute on it quite a few times, because you have to kind of commute on the stuff and ride it to know what you're selling. Then when customers ask you questions, you feel kind of qualified to answer. But the seat cupped your bum to the point where you couldn't move. You're in a fixed position. The seat on this is massively different, which is actually really, really nice. Oh. Bends. Oh, I wish I didn't have a freaking van in front of me. Maybe I'm gonna have to drop right back. I have nothing behind me. I'm gonna enjoy these 13 bends, like really enjoy them. Nothing coming. Right, 13 bends, let's try and enjoy them. Box, flop it over. Big bus. Oh. Stony Middleton. I love Stony Middleton. It's so stony with actual stones. Oh, look at this. I want to drop right back. Again, I've got nothing in front of me. Oh no, that's a different road. That's a different road. Shall we go up it? You know what? You're the master of your own destiny. There's nobody telling you to not go up it. Whoa, look at the views up here. Oh, I do love the engine note on this. We've got the Krapovich on the M1000 XR as standard. Wow, this is stunning. What a bike. This car coming, you can see it. But what a bike to be able to take over these nadgery little roads. Oh yes. Oh, look at that up there. I wonder where this goes. This is awesome. Oh wow, the views. I'm so glad I turned up here, because this is gorgeous. I hope it's not like leading me to someone's house. How invasive. Surely not. Whoa. Woo! Imagine going up there. Oh, gravel everywhere. I don't like that so much. Oh, squirrel, no! Run, squirrel, run! Okay, this is looking a bit Shadowlands. Oh, good lord, which route did I take here? Oh, wow, the views here are insane. What the heck? Whoa, just look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. Ram bam. Oh, that was worth it. What a hidden gem I stumbled across. Derbyshire, you're not disappointed. Ah, you couldn't see that was minging. Oh, gorgeous. Look at this. Wow, wow, wow. Sometimes I love getting lost, even if it is on obnoxiously tall bikes like this, because this bike is obnoxiously tall for a little punk ass like me. Well, guys and girls, to summarise my time on the M1000 XR, it's been pretty good. There are lots of things that I really like about this bike, but there are also lots of things that you do need to take into consideration. So one of the things that I personally really like about this bike is its general aesthetic and its vibe. It is bright, it is leery, it is, dare I say, borderline a little bit garish, but I actually quite like it in a weird little way. I think it just looks different to everything out there on the road at the minute. Like, even looking back at the previous S1000 XRs, the back end of the bike on that did not look as chunky as this looks, and I really like it. It just gives it a proper good stance and presence about it. It's quite long and I'm not mad at that, but it also does handle beautifully. Given the fact that this is an M bike and it's got to be the best at what it is designed to do, the fact that it has a 17-inch front makes sense, because 17 front, 17 rear, it's going to stick to the road like it's on rails, of which it does. But because of this, I definitely feel like the looks might be a little bit of an acquired taste, because it is so tall and the suspension is so tall and the travel's so great, and then it's got these small wheels. So yeah, I think it looks definitely different and quite unique, so I like that about it. So as you guys will have seen with me sitting on this bike, when it's off and it's static, it's got no sag to it whatsoever. Like, my weight can't make a dent in that preload in the slightest. But when you're on the move, we've got the electronic suspension and it does just lap up the bumps of the road. It's firm enough so that it feels sporty, but not so firm that it feels like it's a dedicated race bike, and every time you go over the slightest thing, it's trying to buck you off because it's so unforgiving. This bike isn't like that at all, and it's just really rideable. It just sounds silly, but it feels just super comfy when you're, you know, committed to wanging it into a bend. It just laps it all up and it does it in a really pleasant way. Another thing that I like is gadgets and gizmos. It's loaded with them. Quick shifter, up and down. We've got heated grips and they are great. You can have them really weak or piping hot. I love them piping hot. We've got cruise control on this. We've got 7 different riding modes, so there's so much adjustability with this bike. If you look back at my past videos, I did a video on the dash of the S1000 M package, which has Race Pro 1, 2 and 3. This bike has that as well, so if you do have a BMW with that dash and those modes, if you check that video out, there's everything you need to know about that dash and its adjustability and customization within that video. So if you want to check out that video, if you search Usernamekate S1000RR TFT dash, it'll come up and you'll have all the info about the Race Pro modes. Even though this bike boasts 201 brake horsepower, it's not a bike to be intimidated by, in all honesty. It can be as gentle as a pussycat or as violent as a tiger that's not eaten in 5 days. You can make it as wild or as chill as you want it to, and it's just very smooth with it. It's got excellent town mannerisms, there's no chugging, there's no surging, there's no hunting. We've got loads of modes at the touch of a button which actually do make a difference, so you know, if you were to get this and you're a bit intimidated at first, you could always put it in rain mode or road mode before progressing on to dynamic and race mode. So yeah, it's not a bike that you should be intimidated by. It's actually a very, very easy bike to ride, but when you wind it back, prepare to hold on, because you are going to the moon. So if I'm going to be talking about a few things that I don't quite 100% like about this bike, is like the M1000R, it is quite vibey. So if you're doing sustained mileage on the motorway, you'll feel it. If you're susceptible to white finger, when you come off this bike and you do this, if you've been on it a whole day and you've been thrashing it or you've been holding it at quite high revs, I personally find it quite springy in my fingers, and that's how I personally gauge whether a bike is a bit vibey, and I do get that impression with this bike. Same with the mirrors, they can get a bit blurry and a bit fuzzy and a bit useless, to be honest, when you start really winding it on. So I would say that is kind of a con of this bike, which actually is quite confusing to me, because this is like the sports tourer but with a ridiculously fast engine in it. But I don't know if I could personally tour on this bike because of the vibrations, and they don't offer any kind of hard luggage or racks for it either. You can get soft luggage, of course, but for something that's supposed to be like a super sports tourer, it's not giving much of the touring aspect of it. It's aimed at maybe the people that thought the S1000XR needed a little bit more something, even though it's 160, 165 brake horsepower standard anyway. With this, you definitely notice that shift cam engine, because with the S1000XR, because of how it's geared, you know, you don't really have much under 6,000 revs. You've really got to ring the throttle to get the most out of that bike when you're, you know, kind of not moving, because otherwise you'll be like, come on, wake up. But the shift cam really does make that difference with kind of the lower end, and then the mid-range is obviously better with this engine, and then the top end is next level. So I've kind of concluded in my own way that this bike, who does it appeal to? Who is it marketed at? It's marketed at somebody that's quite wealthy, got a bit of cash money, honey, that wants sports bike lunacy but wants to be comfy, because you don't normally get the two. And I feel like this bridges the gap of sports bike craziness and touring comfort in ergonomics, riding position, bar position, peg position, seat comfort. And who would I say this bike's competing against? Definitely that Ducati Multistrada V4 RS, but I mean, I think this bike's quite expensive, but that bike is significantly more expensive. I think it's 10 grand on this bike, and we get less horsepower at, I want to say, 180. It's also a bit heavier than this bike, and it does have a little bit more torque, but does it have 10 grand's worth of torque? I'm not quite sure. So yeah, overall, massively fun bike to ride. I've really enjoyed my time with it. Even if I do need to do a few stretches when I get back in from a ride out and shake myself out a little bit because I'm all buzzy and tingly, it is a fun bike. It's easy to ride, it's flowy, it's fast, and it's exciting. Given the fact that it's a BMW, we've got loads of rider aids and tech and wizardry to kind of, you know, make it less feral of a riding experience, a less experience, it still has enough power to make you clutch your pearls and say, good Lord. Guys and girls, if you've had a semblance of enjoyment from this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We're on our way to 100,000 subs, so if we could rally the troops up, hit that subscribe button, it would mean the world to get there. Right, until the next time, take care, ride safe, I'll see you then, and yeah, enjoy the warmer weather that is coming.